Welcome to week 3. Of course, you're going to look over the overview of week 3, and then you're going to move into these readings and videos. We're again thinking about how we write in different genres all semester, and we're working our way through examples. So in the first reading, you're going to think about what you do when you're writing in different genres as a writer. And this leads right into what rhetoric is and an introduction to rhetoric, what the rhetorical situation is, and an introduction to the rhetorical analysis, which you're going to build towards by starting with your discussion forum this week and then move into the draft for next week. But basically, a rhetorical analysis is looking at things like the writer's purpose, the audience, definitely, what context is this being written in, but it's also looking at the writer's use of the rhetorical appeals, ethos, where the writer is building credibility, logos, tapping into logic, pathos, using emotion in the piece to convince the writer. When we look at something rhetorically as student writers, we're looking at what writers do to be effective in their writing. So if they're arguing a certain point and they're pulling in various rhetorical appeals, if they're being specific about the purpose and the way that they're using things like organization, examples, etc., to build towards convincing that reader, then we learn something about how good writing looks, and that has an impact on how we write. So you're working through all of these pieces. Definitely read them because they're going to help with your discussion forum number 3. The last 2 are really about what you're doing when you're drafting. So just kind of tapping into that particular phase of the writing process and paragraphing and drawing conclusions in academic essays. So again, the first part is what do writers do to be effective? And these last 2 are about what you can do to respond to the assignments this week. All right, as we move down to the assignments, discussion forum number 3 is going to get you into the beginnings of that rhetorical analysis. You're going to rhetorically analyze. You're thinking about how Dr. Martin Luther King wrote I Have Dreamed, not what he wrote in it. You're not summarizing what he said. You're thinking about what moves he made as a writer as he wrote this speech, and then are they effective or not? And you're going to want to use examples from that essay. So you're going to pick at least 2 rhetorical appeals. You're going to talk about how he used them. You're going to decide if he's effective, and you're going to use textual evidence from this speech to back you up. Remember, this will probably be a number of well-developed paragraphs. It is your first response, and as always, your first response is due by Thursday. Then you're going to provide feedback to at least 2 of your peers. You can agree or disagree with their assessment of the rhetorical appeals. You're going to think about what they've put together and how they've supported their claim, and you're going to provide feedback to them. You've got your rubric up in the top right-hand corner if you click on the 3 dots. The next thing that you're going to do is another important aspect of writing at the college level. You're going to respond to a writer's writing. We're going to go back to that really writing again piece from week 2. And in this way, you're going to build your own perspective on what you've read. So you're not going to repeat what the writer, you're not going to repeat the text itself. It's kind of like if you were reading several different articles about what it means to be American, and then you generate your own perspective on what that means. This is called engaging in the conversation. So one writer starts an idea, starts that conversation. How do you add to it? How do you respond to it? So you'll, of course, want to read through the assignment prompt in more detail. You've got a 500-word minimum response in MLA format, and you've got a rubric to guide that response. And of course, if you have questions, you can always reach out. Now, the last part for this week is your writing journal. You're going to make a list of examples of how you communicate in two different spaces. So you might have items, when you're responding in a discussion post, for example, as opposed to responding to friends' texts or something like that. This list is for you. You don't have to submit the list, but what you're going to do is submit a paragraph that answers how you use reading, writing, and language in your everyday experiences, and how you use reading, writing, and language similarly or differently in various contexts. And why does that happen? All right, so you've got those 3 assignments. You've got a fair amount of material to go through before you do the assignments. If you have any questions, reach out via email. We can always set up a Zoom meeting as well.